felt like we weren't moving. The very earliest memory I have with Keith was he had a birthday party at his house. And that was like 4th or 5th grade. And he had like all the girls from my grade there. And I'm like, man, I like this guy.
Yeah. What is this?
That's a ski tour.
The first time I really remember John was, we used to do BMX jumps. John and his friends, like they were really good at BMX jumping, you know, and I was the kid who could never clear the gap. So the last thing they wanted was a little kid like me showing up and getting hurt and breaking my arm. Once we went to Gemini Springs and started fishing there, that was when our friendship really started, I think. We used to ride our bikes down here and there was nobody down here. Like, yeah. It was, especially on days we skipped school, you know, no one was gonna catch us. I'd have to race home before mom got off work because the school would call and leave a message on the answering machine. They were like, your son, Keith Carson, missed 1 or more periods today. And I was like, erase.
Yeah. I remember my first time going down there, I was fishing on the dock you were supposed to, and Keith is over there on the spillway over in the juice.
It's gotta be one under this mat.
Because Keith didn't care what anybody said. He wasn't gonna let anybody tell him he couldn't fish there, you know?
No fishing area is where you wanna be. It doesn't matter where you're at in the nation. If we fish over there long enough, I bet he'll come by. He'll come yell at us.
I bet he will. They might call the cops now that we're old.
yeah, they won't. It won't be so funny now that we're...
Yeah, 2 grown men over here, 10 minutes before dark. This is where the magic happened right here.
Yeah, right here.
Remember this? It was untouched.
Yeah.
And so it was like, it was the best fishing like anywhere.
Yeah.
As good as you remember?
It's a lot worse than I remember. Actually, as I'm thinking about this now, if the fishing here was this bad when we grew up, we probably wouldn't even fish now.
Yeah, and I think that's where me and Keith really clicked. I mean, he was the only person I knew that loved it as much as I did.
Oh, he turned.
Go get it in front of him. Oh. Get it in front of him. We need this one.
This is where you got to hide behind the tree?
Yeah, I'll be your lookout. I got you.
That's a typical Gemini Springs bass.
So from there, we ended up going to different high schools. I was at a Catholic school. They had a requirement where you had to do 100 hours community service to graduate. It was towards the end of the year. I just had the spring to make up these 100 hours. And I'm trying to think like, you know, what am I going to do to get 100 hours so I can graduate? I was friends with another guy that was putting on the teen angler fishing tournaments. And I was like, hey man, I have a boat. Can I take one of the teen anglers out? You know, will you sign me off for the whole 100 hours? And he said, yeah, no problem. He goes, you need to go find somebody, you know, that you can take. First person that popped into my mind was Keith.
One day I'm sitting in math class, I get this note, and it says, your dad's here to get you. And I'm like, holy crap, like something serious is going on. I go to the front of the school, and John's sitting out there.
Yes, this is Mr. Carson. Yeah, I'm gonna need
Yeah, we ran out to the river and went fishing.
That was our turning point. From that point on, we fished every tournament together. I mean, the last 15 years probably.
We started fishing really out of my brother's 14-foot fiberglass boat, and that had a 15-horse Johnson out of it. And that thing was a real piece.
I think we had to start it with like a screwdriver. We had to pull the cowling off.
We had one live well that could hold 2 fish, and then we brought another cooler that could hold 3 fish, and that would equal our 5-fish limit.
When we got on the water, we fished so hard and were so serious, but the whole way getting there was just a train wreck.
We ended up borrowing a boat for one tournament, and the boat was leaking so bad that in the middle of the tournament, we'd have to put the boat on the trailer and just pull it out just enough to drain all the water, and then we put the plug back in and put the boat back in and start fishing a little bit more.
We got to thank all the people that lent us boats because, I mean, it was from day one we were borrowing boats. But we were killing it. We were doing really well.
So, you know, I started painting for my dad when I was like 10 years old. Painting apartments, condos. By the time we were 16 or 17, John was working for a paving company and he just couldn't even hold a job down. Like, he was constantly calling in sick to fish tournaments.
You know, I didn't want to pave my whole life. I wanted to fish.
I think really he just sucked at paving.
And that's when Keith's like, hey man, why don't you come try to paint?
So John started painting with us. You know, we painted so many apartments, and we'd call my dad and we're like, hey, we need off Thursday and Friday because we have to practice for a tournament that we're fishing Saturday. You know, and he was like, if you guys don't show up for work, you're fired. You don't have a job Monday.
How many times do you think you've fired collectively? I can't count that high.
John was really good at painting.
Keith taught me everything I know about it. I was mostly just the cut-in person. Maybe 2 years in, I'm like, hey man, you know, you ever gonna let me spray? He's like, you want to spray?
And he's like, yeah, let me try it. So he decided he was going to start in the back room.
And all of a sudden I ran out of sprayer hose and I just gave it a little pull and I dumped the entire 5 gallons of bucket.
On brand new carpet. And I mean, it made a circle that was like 8 feet around. We found a fire extinguisher underneath the kitchen sink, and we just shot the fire extinguisher all over the living room carpet, and it looked like snow. So that way you couldn't see the paint. And you know, we were like 17, so we were like, oh, that'll do it. They'll have no idea who spilled all this paint. I think we thought that it would look like somebody vandalized the apartment, like after we had painted it. We actually lost money on that paint job.
That 10 years, we did a lot of tournaments and even more painting. That was all we did. We'd work Monday through Thursday, sometimes Monday through Wednesday, and then just jump right into the tournament.
John and I were fishing Lake and
wait, should we really say where it was?
I'll beep it out. That'd be even funnier.
And we're down near a marina, and there's a power line that like comes out like this island, peninsula type thing.
I take my 1/2 ounce jig, I go to fire it up under a dock.
I don't know how, but John made the worst cast of his life.
And it hits the water and it skips up in the air and it wraps around this power line.
As he got hung up, he pulled it and he buried the hook point into the power line.
It shot like electricity, like
It was like something you'd see from Back to the Future.
down through my rod, into the tip, it melted the whole jig hook, and then it shot a line of fire right down the power line. It's like we lit a fuse, and that fire is just running up that line going into this, you know, giant marina. And I'm like, dude, and I yanked the trolling motor up, he fired the big engine up, and we took off, and we never went back there again.
We scraped by. We scraped by to fish as many tournaments as we could. I can't tell you how many tournaments that we went to where we didn't have enough gas money to get home, where we had to get a check.
You know, every time we jump into a tournament, it's like, well, is this the last one? You know?
We would stay anywhere we could. We'd meet people at Walmart, we'd meet people at the boat ramp, and we're like, hey, you got a spare room that we could stay in? And sometimes they'd let us, most times they wouldn't.
You know, we were wanting to make a big jump. We were wanting to fish the big tournaments. Didn't have the funding. You know, you needed like 40 grand up front to fish the big tournaments. And me and Keith went to a Fisherman Regional. We had no money. We go there. We end up in the last hour. Keith flips in, he catches a big one, and then catches another big one, and then like we start catching them. We're like, oh my gosh. You know, we figure something out. We end up winning that regional. So we walk out of there with like 50 grand, you know, we won a boat, a bunch of cash. And I was like, well, Keith, like, you know, what do you want to do? And he's like, dude, this is it. Let's put our money in. Let's go fish the big tournaments. And we took that money and we just dumped it all in, you know, signed up for the FLW tour. And we went there and we sucked. We sucked we sucked like 3, right? Yeah, we sucked the first 3. And I was like, dude, we have no money. We can't pay for the next one.
I think our bottom darkest tournament was the Red River in 2011.
The way that tournament worked out, when we went there, we were like, this is it. If we don't get a really good check out of this, maybe this isn't what we're supposed to do. You know, and honestly, that whole drive out there, in the back of my head, I'm thinking, where do I go next in life?
Throughout practice, we spent most of the time practicing figuring out where we're going to catch the bass for the tournament, but we also spent a certain amount of practice catching white bass so we could take them back and eat them.
And Keith bought this 17-foot, you know, aluminum crestliner from a used car dealership that we were going to use for alligator hunting. You know, we already been to Red River the year before, and we did okay. We didn't kill them or anything, but we destroyed the fiberglass boat. So like on the way there, we're like, man, we're going to take the aluminum boat. You know, we're going to be all in. It was flooded. We took off and we had to run like 10, 15 miles down and had to go through a lock system. We get into this giant lock and the whole field is locking down to this lower pool. So here I am in the middle of this giant lock with, you know, 180 boats, and I'm in the middle of it in this little tiny jumbo. When I got to the spot, it was this culvert pipe. You know, it looked like it was maybe 1.5 foot by 1.5 foot wide. I mean, it was a small pipe, and it was on a 45 with water just rushing through it. And I was just thinking, I was like, there's no way I'm gonna make it through this pipe. Kind of crashed into the front of it and then just floored the Mercury just as long as I could and as hard as I could, and pushed it through with a 2x4 and just pushed the boat right through the pipe. When I got through the other side, it was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna win the tournament. Like, it was the best fishing probably anywhere in Louisiana. It was instant. It was like I picked up my rod, I caught a big one, I made like 5 casts and caught 5 big ones.
Your champion is John Cox.
And then turns out we both won. John won the pro side of Red River, and I won the co-angler side.
It's like kind of when you made it.
Yeah, well, that's what we thought. That's when we thought we made it. We're like, man, we both won the tour tournament. Like, this is it. We're here. And then we couldn't get any sponsors to save our lives. And it just wasn't that easy. I mean, we just kept going, just keep fishing.
Don't let Crestliner see that, we'll get fired.
When I was a kid, I thought this boat was so heavy.
I know.
I definitely could not pick this up.
It took us everything to get it this far.
Yeah, I didn't think that me and you could do it.
John Cox.
Dude, can you believe how long we've been fishing out of this boat, man?
I don't know, man. It's so crazy. I mean, the real question is, how come it's at my house?
Yeah, because you live on a pond and I don't.
We have to fish in this the rest of our life. It'll be okay.
Yeah, yeah. John, how many tournaments do you think we fished out of this?
Oh gosh, dude. I mean, this is all I remember. I'm about ankle deep back here. What about you, Keith?
Yeah. Yeah, we need a little more water, so once we catch one, we keep them alive down here. Oh my God.
Did he get it?
I don't think he got it.
Oh.
He didn't get it.
Oh
my gosh.
That was a...
Oh my gosh.
Get it?
Holy shoot.
Get it? No?
Oh my gosh, I almost fell. Yeah, that's true. I'm just, oh my gosh.
Oh, did I get you?
Just like the good old days. You know, we're kind of like the soul fishermen of the whole bassing world. We're these guys that fish out of these little boats and you know, just take away all the positives from it.
I'm speechless. I don't even know what to say.
Because it's true. We are the soul fishermen of the Bass Nation. Dude, how excited are you about the Classic?
I honestly, I started losing sleep last night about it.
Me too. I was up till 1 o'clock looking at maps. You know, we made aluminum boats cool. We made that. Remember the VT-17, the Red River?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. That boat was supposed to be for gator hunting. Can you believe we're going to the Classic?
No, man.
Dude,
Come on.
Yeah.
Insane. I never could, I never even, I mean, it's a dream, but, you know, you figure it would never happen.
No, never. And we're both going? It's crazy.
Crazy.
You think we'll be able to practice out of this boat?
I don't know, man.
We're gonna need a better bilge pump.
It's
That's
leaking
for sure.
a little bit.
Oh my gosh, is it leaking? I don't think Grandpa patched these rivets as good as he thought he did.
I don't eat fish. I like catching them, letting them go.
And we'd fill the live wells up with them, and then we'd let them all go in the tub, and they're still alive, like swimming around in the bathtub in the hotel room.
I just remember being like, are we really gonna eat these things?
And then to cook them on the back of the tailgate, I think we had like a little skillet that we brought. And then I cooked the fish on the side of that.
I think it was the George Foreman.
Or was it the George Foreman? You know, I think we got like the Louisiana style red beans rice, and we were mixing the fish and rice, and that's what we ate like every day. It was terrible, it was disgusting.